were all there. Every single one of us. Our matriarchs, our patriarchs, the Hebrews born as slaves in Egypt, and the Hebrews that died as slaves in Egypt. The Hebrews that crossed the sea and trekked to the foot of the mountain, and the ones from the generation that was only just about to be born and would eventually take our people's first steps into the promised land. A millennium's worth of Jews who lived and died under the kings of Israel and Judah, diaspora Jews who never returned from exile, rabbis and rebbitzins, secular Jews, Reformed Jews, Orthodox Jews, Europeans and Africans, Asians and Americans, Jews of every color, gender, ability, heritage, denomination, political affiliation, and socioeconomic background, all of us, teaches our tradition, stood at Mount Sinai to receive the Torah. That moment of revelation at Mount Sinai was for every one of us. Torah is for every one of us. And not some immutable Torah, meant to simply be read at face value and accepted wholesale. Our gift of Torah comes with a responsibility to contribute to the conversation. There are 70 faces to the Torah, our tradition teaches, which is to say that in every age, we have a chance to illuminate some new aspect of Torah, a new aspect the world has not yet gotten the chance to learn because the world was waiting for us, you and me, to teach it or embody it. If this midrashic literature about our people's seminal moments of existence, if this literature is meant to teach us anything, it is that our tradition is an inclusive tradition. There have been eras, of course, where that truth was not realized in Jewish communal life, and people and movements within Judaism that have sought to deny that truth. But these midrashim are not modern. They are ancient. Built into the DNA of our 2,000-year-old rabbinic tradition is a basic premise that all of us belong. All of us are valued. All of us have a voice and a perspective that deserves to be heard. It goes deeper still than the rabbinic tradition. It's in the Torah itself. As many Reform congregations will read this Rosh Hashanah, and as we will read on Simchat Torah, and God said, let us make humanity in our image, after our likeness. Let them steward the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, and the cattle all over the earth, and the creeping things that creep upon the earth. And God created humanity in God's own image. In the image of God, God created them. Humanity is created in the image of the divine. But this image is not a physical image. We don't anthropomorphize our God in Jewish tradition. When we, or the Torah, use human terms to describe God or God's actions, God's strong right arm, or God breathing the breath of life into the first human being, we're using metaphor to shape our understanding of ideas that are beyond human conception. As the chief roadie for the band AC/DC once told comedian Pete Holmes, God is the name of the blanket that we throw over the mystery to give it a shape. So what then do we mean when we say that we are all created in God's image? Well, Maimonides suggests that being created in God's image has all to do with the human mind, rationality and intellect, our ability to think our way through complex philosophical and material problems. That's the image of the divine manifest in us. The Apter Rebbe, a Hasidic scholar known as the Ohev Yisrael, taught, our body forms its likeness on the earth by the shadow it casts, so do we by our activity liken ourselves to the eternal God. If we act well, we form thereby God's right hand. If we resist evil, we form God's left hand. If we shield our eyes from the world's ugliness, we form God's eyes. If we don't allow our ears to hear lies, we form God's ears, and so on. Hear no evil, see no evil. Okay, good. Thus, through our actions, we are like God's shadow on earth. And Rabbi Mordechai Kaplan, the founder of Reconstructionism, agreed with this. He taught that to believe in God means to take for granted that it is humanity's destiny to rise above the brute and eliminate all forms of violence and exploitation from human society. In brief, God is the power in the cosmos that gives human life the direction that enables the human being to reflect the image of God. And the Talmud in Masechet Sanhedrin teaches that the unique nature of God's ability to create human beings highlights both human equality and the incredible diversity inherent in humanity's creation in God's image. The Talmud teaches, furthermore, only one person, Adam HaRishon, only one person was created at first for the sake of peace among people, so that no one should say to their fellow, my father was greater than yours. We all have that common ancestor, right? Also, it continues, humanity was created alone to show the greatness of the Holy One, blessed be God. For if a human being strikes many coins from one mold, they all resemble one another. But the ruler of rulers, the Holy One, blessed be God, made each person in the same image as Adam HaRishon, and yet not one of them resembles their fellow. But ultimately, the teaching that we are made in God's image is a teaching about love. Rabbi Akiva taught in Pirkei Avot, human beings are beloved because they were created in the image of God. And it is even a greater love that this was made known to us. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael amcha ahavta. With an eternal love, you have loved your people Israel. Ahava rabba ahavtanu Adonai Eloheinu. With great love, you have loved us, Adonai our God. Inclusion is baked into our temple's vision statement as a core principle that we try to live out through acting on our community's core values. And we are all working all the time to make sure that our temple community is an inclusive place. Hopefully you noticed as you came in our new Shalom station. If you didn't, it's right over there by the doors, which is where you could pick up anything you might need to help you participate in our communal services on Shabbat, whether that be a hearing assist device or a magnifying glass to help you read, or a busy bag with fidget tools to help your body move so your mind can focus. We work hard to make sure our facilities are accessible and that all of our varied and beautiful identities are welcome here. And all of this goes back to what Amy Rubin first termed to me a Torah of love that is at the core of all we do. Like Rabbi Akiva taught, inclusion in Judaism is an idea based in love. And tonight, though we could address the idea of inclusion from any of a dozen angles, I want to talk about love. In my lifetime, or thereabouts, the evolution of the conversation in our country, and even in the Reform movement specifically, about the LGBTQ plus community has been astounding. In 1977, the Reform movement announced its support for decriminalizing homosexuality. But in October 1985, the height of the AIDS crisis, mind you, the CCAR issued a responsum that explicitly forbade Reform clergy from officiating at homosexual marriages. Now, by 1996, the movement had begun reversing course on this, issuing a statement that the movement supports the rights of non-heterosexual couples, heteronormative couples, to have civil marriage. But it took until finally, in 2014, for the CCAR to publish a long responsum explicitly authorizing Reform clergy to officiate at LGBTQ plus wedding ceremonies. And I want to highlight that because that landmark responsum is only just over a decade old. While it may feel to us now that gay marriage, both as the law of the land and as a normalized feature of Reform Jewish life, has been around for ages, these expansions for the civil rights and religious rights of the queer community are new, and they remain fragile and as subject to the whims of our country's current administration as any other aspect of American society long believed to be immutable. And I don't bring this up in a theoretical capacity either. I'm talking about this because the continued existence of legalized homosexual civil marriage as the law of the land may very soon be on the docket. I quote here from an article by Peabody Award-winning journalist Amy Howe. Quote, in 2015, shortly after the Supreme Court recognized the constitutional right to same-sex marriage in Obergefell v. Hodges, a local county clerk from Kentucky made national headlines when she refused on religious grounds to issue a marriage license to a gay couple, David Moore and David Ermold. That clerk, Kim Davis, is back in the news again this summer. This time because she has asked the justices to overturn their 2015 decision. Although, as a statistical matter, Davis may face tough odds on convincing the Supreme Court to grant review, the real question is whether there are 4 votes to revisit Obergefell or 5 to overrule it. In 2015, Davis was the clerk of Rowan County, Kentucky. Her job description included issuing licenses, such as marriage licenses, to county residents. After the Supreme Court's decision in Obergefell, Kentucky's governor at the time, Steve Beshear, sent a letter to the clerks in all the state's counties directing them to, quote, license and recognize the marriages of same-sex couples. Although a county attorney told Davis that she would be required to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples, Davis opted instead to stop issuing marriage licenses to anyone, gay or straight. And while this moratorium of hers was in effect, Davis refused to issue a marriage license to David Moore and David Ermold. She told the couple that she was acting, quote, under God's authority, and that they could get a marriage license in a different county. Now, earlier this year, the Sixth Circuit rejected Kim Davis's appeal. It reasoned that Davis is protected by the First Amendment when she is a private citizen, but she was acting on behalf of the government when she denied Moore and Ermold's marriage license, an action that is not protected by the First Amendment. The Court of Appeals acknowledged that in Obergefell, the Supreme Court observed that many people deem same-sex marriage to be wrong based on religious or philosophical reasons. But those opposed to same-sex marriage, the Court of Appeals wrote, do not have a right to transform their personal opposition into enacted law and public policy. The Bill of Rights, the court stated, would serve little purpose if it could be freely ignored whenever an official's conscience so dictates. Whether the court will grant review really boils down to whether there are 4 votes to take up the question. Moreover, even if there are 4 justices who might be inclined to do so, they won't want to grant review unless they are confident that there is a 5th vote to overturn Obergefell. Whether at least 5 of the 6 historically conservative justices would vote to overturn Obergefell remains to be seen. End quote. If Kim Davis is successful, and the Supreme Court overturns gay marriage as the law of the land, the results will be not unlike what has happened in the aftermath of the overturning of Roe versus Wade. Individual states that skew conservative will issue gay marriage bans. And while marriages certified while gay marriage was legal will be grandfathered in, all other hopeful couples who live in those states will thereafter be unable to attain marital status. There is much more potential fallout that could easily be speculated about, but to do so would be immaterial at this stage. Notwithstanding whether this case ever actually reaches the Supreme Court, there are a few things that I am quite sure of. First, the LGBTQ plus community is gravely concerned and afraid. Every week, it seems, there are renewed attacks from every level of government against this community. Its history is being erased. Its civil rights are in jeopardy or are actively being violated. And its members are assaulted, verbally and physically. And this case is just one more such an attack, but it is one that could have devastating consequences that threaten the lives and the quality of life of thousands upon thousands of families. Second, the reform movement will be unwavering in its continued support of the LGBTQ plus community. The evolution within our movement on this issue came on the backs of the hard work and advocacy of many, many community leaders, clergy and lay. So many simchas celebrated. So many families welcomed. So many children brought into our covenant. None of that will be devalued one iota by a loud, small-minded, socially hyper-conservative minority using this heavily conservative Supreme Court as a cudgel to hurt these families. Our Reformed Jewish community will still embrace LGBTQ plus folks and their families with the same love, warmth, and inclusivity that have become our movement's standard. That will be the case for our movement nationally, and it will remain the case for Temple Beth-El in Hillsborough, New Jersey. Our Tikkun Olam coalition is looking to address issues of LGBTQ inclusion, safety, and loss of legal rights in the coming year, and are in the process of gathering a committee of interested folks to work together on this. If you're interested in joining the effort, please contact Liz Cohen and keep an eye on future Temple communications so that you can get involved with potential actions that we have planned. Third, I will continue to use my rabbinate to support, include, and yes, officiate at the marriages of LGBTQ plus Jews, whether or not gay civil marriage remains legal. This issue is personal for me. Many members of my family identify with one of those beautiful rainbow-colored letters on the alphabet of love and gender identity. I have officiated at non-heteronormative marriages in the past for friends and family alike, and I will continue to do so, should they wish to bless me with the opportunity. Love is love, is love, is love, is love. The flag of the queer community is a rainbow. For us, the rainbow is the sign of a covenant, one that prevents destruction of life and enshrines basic decency in society. There will always be forces in the world trying to dull the colors of the rainbow, but light always finds a way to shine through. As the Meor Einayim, literally the enlightener of eyes, the 18th century Hasidic master of Chernobyl taught, just as a Torah scroll that lacks one letter is unfit, so too our sages taught that whoever destroys one soul of Israel is as though he had destroyed the entire world, and whoever sustains a single soul is like one who has sustained the entire world. And that is why we recite before each prayer service, Hareini mikabel alai et mitzvat haborei ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. I hereby accept upon myself the positive commandment to love my neighbor as myself. We are all in absolute unity, the Rabbi taught, just as the scroll comes to be a Torah scroll, only when all the letters are joined together. So let 5786 be a year of joining together, a year of inclusion. May we strive always to love our neighbor as ourselves, to see the holy spark in all people, to live up to our designation as creations in the image of the divine by living in a way that emulates divinity. May this be a year of sweet, sweet love. Shana Tova u'metuka, everyone.
Shana Tova.